Today we are going to take a look at RFP Express. So how many of you like to save time? Okay, some of you don't like to save time. Now, how many of you are subscribed to RFP Express? Okay, I like it. So if you're not familiar with RFP Express, it's kind of our newest and our latest tool in the system. We're going to get you another mic. All right, sounds good. Thanks. So it's our latest benchmarking system, and I'm just going to be able to take you through what it looks like to run it, to generate it, kind of understand the inner workings of it. And at any point in time, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions. I'm more than happy to stop and kind of make it a little more interactive for you all. So, and just so you know, I am starting on the plan details page, but when I scroll all the way down, you'll see that you do have this as an option at the fee benchmarking section. So a lot of our data integrates from the plan details page, from the client details page. So if you're working on an existing client, here's where you can access it. But for a lot of you that have come to the conference, you're probably talking with a lot of prospects. You're looking for ways to get new business. So I really want to take you through what it looks like to work with the prospect and generate a report. And to do that, you'll hit the menu drop down and click on RFP Express right there. So you'll see this page load, and it's a really simple tool to use. I'm just going to click on the Start New Report button here, and you could see we like to gather pretty basic information regarding the plan. So where is the plan? Who's servicing the plan for the advisor? You'll notice that we do have a plus icon there. So for a lot of you administrators that are here today, if you're creating one of these reports for another advisor, you can click on that plus icon. You can add a custom advisor name. So maybe you're doing it for 2, 3 different advisors. That's where you'd be able to add those additional names. Scrolling down, we gather a few more important information. So current provider, the platform, current administration, plan assets, participants. Contributions and distributions are optional. We do understand that sometimes when you're working with the prospect, you can't get all of that data right offhand. It is optional. And if you do have the information ready to go, you can do record keeping fees and investment fees and such. So I'm just going to go back to one of these reports I already created. So we'll take a look at the next page. And we like to gather just 2 additional data points. So how different or how likely will this plan move to different record keepers? So very similar to the provider analysis tool, we like to track how many of you are doing benchmarking reports, how many of you are actually running an RFP out there. It's really important information for our record keepers. And then we have advisor compensation. So you can include the advisor comp, the current comp, and then you can add the bidding compensation that you like from them. So between those 2 screens, I hit next, and immediately we're given instant quotes. These are live bids. I've been working with our record keepers day and night for the last 18 months. They have been such a pleasure to work with and have been amazing for our membership to offer multiple solutions. You might see a couple big names out there that have 3, 4 solutions. You'll see some of our smaller record keepers have 1. And I just want to say I appreciate all the work that they've put into offering this for you all. I kind of like to think of RPAGs, RFP Express, kind of like Costco. You come in, you take a look at these samples, you see exactly what they're made up of. So let's dive into what exactly we're going to be looking at. So let's just take a look at Empower, for example. So you'll see that we list the record keeping fee right there. Then we give you the total. But maybe you want a little bit more detail. You can click on the View Option Details. And this will give you a breakdown on exactly what's going on in the back end. So you got your record keeping, you have your investment costs, you have your fund lineups. So these are fixed lineups. So in other words, if you're looking to swap out a fund from one of these lineups that are pre-populated, you might experience a price change, but the idea is that you're getting a base idea on exactly what's going to be offered from these solutions that our record keepers have put in. And you can have those conversations with them later down the road. I like to think of RFP Express as a way to get your foot in the door. You give them an idea on pricing. They get to see the different details, the different funds that you might be offering. And then that conversation might evolve into probably updating the lineup or adding a few more services that are going to be going on in there once you talk with your wholesaler at any one of these providers. But just know that all of this is live pricing. I do want to highlight one solution we have here. So we've got AutoMap, and what makes this solution unique is this is actually an advisor-based PEP solution. So if you didn't know, you can reach out to RPAG if you have a PEP solution or a unique solution of yours that you're overseeing. You can work with us to get that solution onto RFP Express, offer that to the membership, and see if you get any leads in there. That is an option for you. So feel free to reach out to me. We can have that conversation on what that looks like. I think it's a great opportunity to really increase your opportunity right there. So within each of these, you will be selecting the compare checkmark button. And I did want to point out, when you select an unbundled solution, you can add your TPA. So you'll see that the system won't recognize you picked unbundled. If you see your TPA listed, great, add them in. If you don't see them listed, you can grab the phone, give us a call. We'll get it added to the drop-down. That way you don't have to go around. Otherwise, if you find yourself in a rush, you can just look for a TPA, and that'll be listed there as well. You're able to input the fees regarding the TPA. It could be very basic, or you can make it very detailed based on these numbers we've got here. And then you can tell the system whether you're going to apply this TPA cost to all unbundled quotes or just the one specific quote here. Now, another feature I wanted to highlight is open architecture pricing. So let's take a look at Vestmo, for example. You'll see that I'm going to click on the compare quote. I'm going to hit view option details, but take a look. We do not have a lineup, but they did list this lineup as open arc. What they're saying is, at this record keeping cost, you have an open architecture platform to work with. You can select whatever funds that you want. So let's kind of find out how it works to add that investment expense. If you notice here on this page, I'm going to click on add investment expense. Let's just say I'm looking to aim for 18 basis points. Type in 18 basis points, I hit save. Now the system adds that 18 basis points to the total of that instant quote. So here we are, 18, and the total's been added. So really easy to use, really intuitive. You have a lot of flexibility. I like to tell advisors that RPAG and flexibility, we go hand in hand. We try and make it as easy as possible for you all to run these benchmarking reports with the different scenarios you're going to be looking at. So I kind of talked about instant quotes on RFP Express, but let's dive a little bit into custom quotes. For example, Emeritus. Although Emeritus, Kuna, they're not on there as instant quotes, they were more than happy to work with me in getting set up so that you could send them custom quotes. When you select the provider for a custom quote, you can get very specific with them, bundled or unbundled, the platform. Sometimes there's a record keeper out there that has 8 different platforms. You're not sure which one to select. You can click on provider to select. And then you have options on the investment lineup. You might notice proprietary fund pricing. If you do select that, you will want to type out specific information, for example, stable value. So maybe you have 500,000 in stable value and you want to communicate that to the provider so that they know this custom quote is going to be proprietary stable value fund usage. Once you type in your additional instructions and you hit submit, our record keepers will get notified of a custom quote. They've given us 24 to 48 hour commitment in getting that quote answered to you all. So between instant and custom quotes, you have the flexibility to get all the pricing you need to at least get your foot in the door when it comes to introducing yourself at your next benchmarking meeting for a prospect or getting the conversation started. This is a really great conversation starter just to show them what the field looks like and then being able to evolve that conversation to a finalist meeting, and then in which you could start using the provider analysis and get into more detail regarding the fund lineup, services, and those other fees. But at this point for RFP Express, I've selected my quotes that I was interested in. Now I'm gonna hit request and compare quotes. On the back end, the record keepers will get a notification email with all of your contact information. You might get a call or an email just introducing themselves saying, hey, I saw you got an instant quote from us. More than happy to answer any questions that you all might have. So they get notified about that, all while we end up on the quote comparison chart. So a few flexible options for you here on this page. You'll see on the left side we've got plan fees. Are any of you familiar with plan fees? So plan fees is our universe of averages report. And what we've done here is we pulled in the median average of the cost of this plan for plans of similar size regarding the fees. You do have the option of removing that if you're not interested in showing that to your client or prospect. Then you have your incumbent column. So if you're working with a prospect, you don't have all information, perhaps you don't have those fees to share or compare against regarding the current incumbent structure, that's okay. You can exclude them from the quote comparison chart until you can get those fees back later on. Now, regarding the rest of what we're looking at here, if you click on the fund lineup, you'll see once again that you can pull in the fund lineup, remind yourselves what this quote is offering you, alongside the estimated allocation percentages, tickers. You'll have all of that there for you to take a look at. And again, at this point, everything, or a little bit of everything, is editable. So for example, here at T row price, they're an unbundled solution. I forgot to add a TPA cost to that solution. I click the edit button here, I could still add them in. So again, really easy, really intuitive. If you find yourself stuck at all, you're more than welcome to give us a call and we'll be happy to help you out with that. Now, let's say I'm getting ready to generate a report. I'm looking at the pricing, not too interested in one of these, one of our partners here regarding their pricing. Let's just say I need to remove them from the report. So we do have these remove buttons down here. And what happens is we don't just simply delete them out of the entire report. If you go to the very bottom, the bottom left, you can actually bring them back. So let's say you change your mind and you go, okay, I just had a conversation with One America. There's some flexibility there. I'm going to add them back into the report, restore to view details, and you can see that the system adds them right back in there. If you're very detail-oriented and you have a structure to your meeting on who you're going to be talking about, you can change the order of these record keepers in whatever fashion that you're going to find most comfortable with. So it's a really neat tool. I really hope a lot of you really get on board with us. I'm more than happy to get into more conversation with you. And then generating the report, you just hit generate report. It will show your company logo along with the presentation date. So as I pull up the sample report, do we have any questions so far, at least within the system, on how I did any of this? Sure.
I had a couple questions. I've been playing with this tool on my own. And one is, with this fund menu, is there any possibility to add in like the incumbent tickers and QSIPs into the quoting
Like
itself?
the incumbent lineup?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have plans to see if we can get that in there. I would say it's coming up.
Very good. My next question was on the TPA dropdown. You had mentioned we can call in because at this point most TPAs are not in there.
Sure.
But is there a possibility to just add like an other or manual, and we can just put something in there to get it to work
So
as a backup?
yeah, if you're looking for something quick, I would just have you use the TPA right here. So it's just labeled TPA. That can be kind of your shell there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I need.
Awesome.
Quick question. Is the incumbent advisor compensation a required field?
No. So that is completely optional. You don't have to have that as part of the report. What we're seeing here is I included advisory comp in the report, and that's my bidding compensation that I typed in. But early on, you can tell the system that you don't want compensation to be included in the report, and the system will allow that for you. You just select no.
Then that doesn't show yours or what it currently is.
It won't show either, or you can come in and you can type out 0 for the current advisor comp and then type in whatever comp you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Sure.
You talked about if you get a custom quote, they'll get it back to you in a day or two. That's the promise. Does that feed in any way here where you can compare and contrast instant and customs together?
Absolutely. I don't have that set up in this sample, but the idea is you'll get a lineup, you'll get pricing, you'll get details. It'll come side by side. And when they do respond, you do get a notification email. So if one of their specific internal wholesalers responds to you, they'll get CC'd on the system-generated email that goes to you. So that's kind of the bridge for you too. Maybe they're introducing themselves to you, but it's a neat little feature in our system. Great questions. So, any other before I dive into the sample report? Perfect. So I'm going to dive into the sample report. Your company logo will generate right there. We give a little illustration on what the benchmarking process looks like. You have your plan assumptions, what all this pricing is based on, and what the current advisor compensation is. Again, if you're not interested in showing the current, that could be left at NA. Then you have your service provider summary. So keep in mind, RFP Express, we really wanted to integrate the future of PEPs going on. So you might see data points here like the PPP, investment fiduciary, 316, administrative fiduciary. That was very intentional of us because we wanted to keep in tune with the current market right now. Right now, PEPs are big. So we really we designed this system to be able to support PEPs in that sense. Now, here you'll see that we have the type, and this essentially tells you what type of quote am I looking at. So we're looking at your traditional quotes, bundled unbundled. Then you're looking at our exchanges, our turnkey solution. So if you're familiar with our FlexPath turnkey solution with Transamerica, that's an exchange, and we have that listed here. And of course, if we had a PEP here, that would show up here on this page as well. So if you're familiar with our provider analysis, you'll see that this is very similar. It's side by side. You got a little bit more color. It looks a lot cleaner. We have both the percentage and the dollar equivalent listed out for you in case in case your client or prospect is interested in either. You'll even notice that the investment fiduciary was intentionally pulled away from being bundled with the advisor comp because we do understand you do want to show that as a separate fee, so that is also there as well. And then we break it down with per participant charges right there at the bottom. Then you have your fee details page. So for those fees in parentheses, essentially the system's telling you that's the TPA charge. So for example, here on the RPAG, the very last column, looks like there's an asset charge of 25 basis points from that provider, but then there's an 8 basis point charge coming from the TPA. We're not necessarily saying it's all combined within it, but they are both separate fees. And as I mentioned before, you've got your investment fiduciary fee, 316 fee. All of that is detailed here on this page. Now, if you're familiar with our provider analysis questionnaire, you might be very used to seeing 500 data points. We really narrowed that down to about 20, 25, 30 data points on each of the record keepers, just to kind of highlight what kind of services they'll offer. I did have someone ask me early on across my desk, could I just couple this with a provider overview report? Go ahead, that's actually a great idea. If you've never ran a services only report from our benchmarking system, the provider analysis, highly recommend you do that. You don't have to wait at all for the providers. It's there ready for you to download right away what their services look like on that platform. And then each lineup gets their own page. So you'll see that we give you the allocation percentages, the scores, the expenses, the fund names, and then when the data was last updated. So this is an old report, but as you know, we update all of our data quarterly. And then towards the very end, we give the record keepers why they should do business, why you should do business with them. They kind of have their one-pagers on who they are. And then towards the very end, we have provider disclosures. So sometimes there might be an add-on fee, might be some additional discounting that record keepers like to communicate on the provider disclosure, saying that, hey, if you include this specific service, you might get a discount on so-and-so. So definitely read through the disclosures as you're working through the RFP Express report. And that's really the report. So if it wasn't for me talking so much, we could have completed this report within 5-10 minutes. And if you were here early on during my earlier presentation yesterday, if you have a game plan, I promise you, you've got that game plan structured, you've got everything you need in your head, you could come in and generate this report right away and present it. And as a final note, we do have the RFP Express provider overview. So this is found in the Resource Center under fee and benchmarking, and then you'll see RFP Express. So essentially this tells you what the report is, how to generate the report, but more importantly, it tells you the plan types and the asset thresholds. So if you're wondering, okay, how come I don't see this provider? Or exactly who is on the RFP Express tool, you'll see that we list them there here alongside their asset thresholds. Some don't do startups, others do. In case you didn't know, we also support startup 401ks for RFP Express. Slightly different process, but again, very intuitive for you to use. We even list who the custom quote only providers are here as well. So you've got a ton of different resources for RFP Express. You're more than welcome to give me a call or give the support line a call. We'll be happy to show you how to run one of these reports. And if you're interested and you're not subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do that. But any final questions? Go ahead.
Sorry, I thought of one more question. Does the incumbent firm get excluded from this? So like if you have a plan with Voya, will it pull Voya up in this or not?
That is a great question, and the answer is yes. So instant quote pricing is generally applicable to only new plans being onboarded. If you are doing an incumbent rebid process, I highly suggest you go through the provider analysis tool, you run one of those reports, and you do it from there.